Olivia Hartley and Zoe Blackwell seemed the picture of suburban bliss. Their meticulously restored 1920s colonial was the envy of the neighborhood, with its wraparound porch and expertly landscaped gardens. To outsiders, they appeared to have it all: successful careers, a beautiful home, and a loving partnership. Olivia had made a name for herself as one of Millbrook's top real estate agents. With her polished appearance and gift for small talk, she excelled at putting clients at ease. By age 40, she'd amassed an impressive portfolio of multi-million-dollar listings. Her ambition was matched only by her work ethic, often putting in 60-hour weeks to close big deals. In contrast, Zoe Blackwell preferred a quieter life. The 41-year-old freelance graphic designer worked from a sunny home office, creating logos and marketing materials for small businesses. With her artistic flair and easygoing nature, she provided a calming counterbalance to Olivia's Type A personality. Where Olivia craved the spotlight, Zoe was content to work behind the scenes. The women's paths first crossed at a local coffee shop in the spring of 2018. Olivia was grabbing her usual triple-shot latte when she quite literally bumped into Zoe, spilling coffee down the front of her crisp white blouse. Mortified, Zoe insisted on paying for dry cleaning. Their chance encounter blossomed into friendship, then romance. For Olivia, the relationship offered stability after years of unfulfilling flings. She'd long ago accepted that her demanding career left little room for a personal life. In Zoe, she found someone who understood the pressures of self-employment and valued independence. Zoe, meanwhile, was drawn to Olivia's confidence and zest for life. Having ended a long-term relationship the year before, she'd resigned herself to focusing on her career. Olivia's passionate nature reignited a spark Zoe thought she'd lost. As their bond deepened, the women discovered shared interests in travel, fine wine, and home renovation. Weekends were spent exploring quaint New England towns or tackling DIY projects around the house. They challenged each other to step outside their comfort zones. Olivia convinced Zoe to try skydiving, while Zoe introduced Olivia to meditation. Friends and family remarked on how the relationship brought out the best in both women. Olivia softened some of her harder edges, while Zoe gained confidence in social situations. They seemed to complement each other perfectly, filling in the gaps in each other's personalities. After 2 years of dating, Olivia proposed during a sunset hot air balloon ride. Zoe, overcome with emotion, said yes before Olivia could even finish asking the question. They began planning an intimate fall wedding, eager to begin the next chapter of their lives together. As they settled into domestic bliss, neither woman could have predicted the turbulent waters that lay ahead. The solid foundation they'd built would soon be tested in ways they never imagined, with devastating consequences. Olivia and Zoe exchanged vows on a crisp October afternoon in 2020. The intimate ceremony, held in the backyard of their newly purchased home, was attended by only their closest friends and family. Fairy lights twinkled in the trees as the brides, resplendent in tailored white pantsuits, pledged their love and commitment. The reception that followed was a joyous affair, with guests dancing under the stars long into the night. Olivia's maid of honor recalled how the newlyweds couldn't keep their eyes off each other, stealing kisses and private moments throughout the evening. It seemed the perfect start to their new life together. The first year of marriage was a whirlwind of domestic bliss. Weekends were spent exploring local farmers markets, hosting dinner parties for friends, and tackling home improvement projects. They fell into an easy rhythm, with Olivia handling the finances and Zoe taking charge of household management. As their second anniversary approached, however, subtle cracks began to form in their picture-perfect facade. Olivia's workload increased dramatically as the real estate market boomed. She was spending more time at the office and bringing work home on weekends. Zoe, while supportive of her wife's career, began to feel neglected. Their once vibrant sex life had dwindled to perfunctory encounters every few weeks. Zoe found herself craving the passion and spontaneity of their early relationship. She tried to rekindle the spark with romantic gestures, surprise weekend getaways, intimate candlelit dinners. But Olivia seemed distracted and unappreciative. For her part, Olivia felt the weight of being the primary breadwinner. She'd always prided herself on providing a comfortable lifestyle, but the pressure to maintain their standard of living was taking its toll. She began to resent what she perceived as Zoe's more laid-back approach to work. Neither woman wanted to admit that the honeymoon phase had ended. They both clung to the idea of their perfect marriage, reluctant to voice their growing dissatisfaction. Instead, they buried their feelings and carried on with the routines of daily life. It was against this backdrop of unspoken tension that they made a fateful decision, one that would set in motion a chain of events neither could have foreseen. In an attempt to inject some excitement into their relationship, they decided to hire someone to maintain their neglected swimming pool. Little did they know, this seemingly innocuous choice would change their lives forever. As spring turned to summer in 2023, Olivia and Zoe's once pristine backyard oasis had fallen into disrepair. The swimming pool, a key selling point when they'd purchased the home, sat unused and algae-filled. Neither woman had the time or inclination to tackle the maintenance themselves. It was Zoe who suggested hiring help, reasoning that a well-maintained pool would motivate them to spend more quality time outdoors together. Olivia agreed, seeing it as a worthwhile investment in their property value. They placed an ad on a local job board, seeking a part-time pool maintenance worker. Among the handful of responses was an application from 19-year-old Liam Russo. A recent high school graduate, Liam was taking a gap year to save money for college. He'd spent the previous 2 summers working for his uncle's pool cleaning business, and came with glowing references. When Liam arrived for his interview, both women were struck by his youthful good looks. With sun-kissed skin, tousled hair, and piercing eyes, he could have stepped off the pages of a fashion magazine. Olivia found herself fumbling over her words as she outlined the job requirements. Zoe, normally the more reserved of the pair, felt an unexpected flutter in her stomach as Liam flashed a dimpled smile. She caught herself staring at his muscular forearms as he described his experience with pool chemistry and filtration systems. Despite his young age, Liam impressed them with his knowledge and professionalism. He spoke of his plans to study environmental science, hoping to develop more eco-friendly pool treatment methods. His enthusiasm was infectious, and by the end of the interview, both women were charmed. They offered Liam the job on the spot, agreeing to a twice-weekly maintenance schedule. As he left, promising to start the following Monday, Olivia and Zoe exchanged a look of unspoken understanding. There was an energy, a spark of something they hadn't felt in years. Over the next few weeks, Liam became a fixture in their backyard. He attacked the pool cleanup with vigor, transforming the murky water into a sparkling blue haven. Olivia found herself lingering over her morning coffee, watching from the kitchen window as Liam skimmed leaves in nothing but swim trunks. Zoe, meanwhile, began timing her work breaks to coincide with Liam's visits. She'd bring him cold drinks, engaging him in conversations about his interests and aspirations. His youthful optimism was a breath of fresh air, reminding her of the passion she'd once felt for her own career. As the summer heat intensified, so too did the tension in the Hartley-Blackwell household. Liam's presence had awakened something in both women, a longing for excitement, for the thrill of new possibilities. Neither could have predicted just how far they would go to recapture that feeling, or the dire consequences that would follow. The catalyst came on a sweltering August afternoon. Olivia had taken a rare day off work, hoping to surprise Zoe with a romantic lunch. Instead, she arrived home to find her wife and Liam in what appeared to be an intimate moment by the pool. Though nothing overtly inappropriate was happening, the air crackled with unspoken desire. That night, after Liam had gone home, Olivia confronted Zoe about the obvious attraction. To her surprise, Zoe didn't deny it. What followed was a brutally honest conversation about the state of their marriage and their unfulfilled needs. It was Olivia who first floated the idea. What if they invited Liam to join them in the bedroom? The suggestion hung in the air, both thrilling and terrifying. They spent hours discussing boundaries, potential risks, and what it might mean for their relationship. By the time dawn broke, they had reached a tentative agreement to explore the possibility. Approaching Liam proved easier than they'd anticipated. The young man, flattered and excited by the proposition, eagerly agreed to their terms. What began as a one-time experiment quickly evolved into a regular arrangement. Liam would finish his pool maintenance duties, then join the women inside for more intimate activities. At first, the threesome seemed to breathe new life into Olivia and Zoe's marriage. They rediscovered a passion and playfulness long absent from their sex life. Olivia found Liam's youthful energy invigorating, while Zoe was drawn to his gentle nature and eagerness to please. For Liam, it was a fantasy come to life. 2 beautiful, accomplished women lavishing him with attention. They settled into a routine of sorts. Tuesdays and Fridays became their designated date nights with Liam. The women would prepare a lavish dinner, sharing wine and conversation before retiring to the bedroom. Liam would slip out in the early morning hours, leaving Olivia and Zoe to reconnect in the afterglow. For a few blissful weeks, it seemed they had found the perfect solution to their marital doldrums. Olivia and Zoe were more affectionate with each other, stealing kisses and holding hands like newlyweds. They talked and laughed more, the tension that had built up over months finally dissipating. But beneath the surface, subtle shifts were occurring. Zoe began texting Liam throughout the day, sharing inside jokes and flirtatious banter. Olivia found herself going out of her way to bump into Liam around town, manufacturing reasons to see him outside their arranged meetings. Neither woman wanted to admit that their carefully negotiated arrangement was veering off course. They convinced themselves that a little harmless flirtation was natural, that it didn't threaten the primacy of their marriage. But as summer waned and autumn approached, the delicate balance they'd struck began to teeter. Unbeknownst to each other, both Olivia and Zoe were falling for Liam in their own ways. What had started as a shared adventure was rapidly becoming a competition, one that would ultimately tear their lives apart. The first cracks in their seemingly perfect arrangement appeared in late September. Zoe had planned a special birthday surprise for Liam, a vintage record player he'd mentioned wanting. When she presented it to him during one of their Friday night dinners, Olivia was visibly taken aback. The gift seemed far too personal, too thoughtful for what was supposed to be a casual sexual relationship. Olivia's discomfort only grew as she watched Zoe and Liam pore over the record collection, heads bent close together as they discussed obscure bands. She felt like an outsider in her own home, excluded from their shared enthusiasm. That night, for the first time since they'd begun their arrangement, Olivia begged off joining them in the bedroom, claiming a headache. The incident marked a turning point. Olivia began to scrutinize every interaction between Zoe and Liam, searching for signs of a deeper connection. She noticed the lingering touches, the private smiles, the way Zoe's eyes lit up when Liam entered a room. Paranoia set in, convincing her that they were carrying on behind her back. Zoe, for her part, was oblivious to her wife's growing unease. She was caught up in the excitement of new love, relishing the butterflies she felt around Liam. It reminded her of the early days with Olivia, that heady rush of possibility. She told herself it was harmless, that she could balance her feelings for both Olivia and Liam without anyone getting hurt. The situation came to a head on a rainy Tuesday evening in early October. Olivia arrived home early from work to find Zoe and Liam curled up on the couch, watching a movie. The intimacy of the scene, Zoe's head on Liam's shoulder, his arm draped casually around her, sent Olivia into a rage. She exploded, hurling accusations of betrayal and deceit. Zoe, stunned by the outburst, tried to defend herself, insisting that nothing untoward had happened. Liam, caught in the crossfire, attempted to mediate, but his presence only fueled Olivia's anger. The argument escalated quickly. Harsh words were exchanged, years of pent-up resentments bubbling to the surface. Zoe accused Olivia of being controlling and possessive. Olivia fired back, calling Zoe selfish and immature. Liam, overwhelmed by the volatility of the situation, fled the house. In the aftermath of the blow-up, an uneasy truce settled over the household. Olivia and Zoe tiptoed around each other, neither willing to address the elephant in the room. Their once open communication had devolved into terse exchanges about household chores and schedules. Liam became the unwitting pawn in their power struggle. Both women vied for his attention, scheduling solo pool maintenance sessions that had little to do with actual cleaning. Olivia showered him with expensive gifts, designer clothes, the latest iPhone, in an attempt to win his loyalty. Zoe appealed to his emotions, confiding in him about her troubled marriage and positioning herself as the vulnerable one in need of protection. For his part, Liam was both flattered and overwhelmed by the attention. At 19, he lacked the emotional maturity to navigate the complex dynamics at play. He genuinely cared for both women and hated feeling like he had to choose between them. But as the tension in the house ratcheted up, he found himself increasingly drawn to Zoe's gentler nature. As October wore on, the situation became untenable. The once happy home was now a battleground of passive-aggressive sniping and icy silences. Olivia threw herself into work, taking on more listings and spending long hours at the office. Zoe retreated into her art, churning out dark, chaotic pieces that reflected her inner turmoil. Something had to give. The powder keg of emotions was primed to explode. It was only a matter of time before a spark ignited the inevitable conflagration. November 12, 2023, dawned gray and blustery, as if nature itself sensed the tragedy about to unfold. Olivia woke early, her mind racing with a plan she'd been formulating for days. She was determined to end the affair once and for all, to reclaim her wife and her life. She called in sick to work, something she never did, and spent the morning meticulously preparing. She cleaned the house from top to bottom, arranged Zoe's favorite flowers throughout the rooms, and began preparing an elaborate dinner. In her mind, this would be the night they reconnected and put the whole sordid affair behind them. Zoe arrived home in the late afternoon, surprised to find Olivia there. The tension between them was palpable, as Olivia explained her desire to talk things through. Zoe agreed, but insisted on postponing their discussion until after dinner. She needed time to gather her thoughts, and to warn Liam not to come over as planned. As Zoe showered and changed, Olivia uncorked a bottle of expensive red wine. She poured herself a large glass, hoping to calm her nerves. By the time Zoe emerged, Olivia was on her second glass, her carefully rehearsed speech beginning to slip away. They sat down to eat, the silence broken only by the clink of cutlery on china. Olivia tried to steer the conversation towards reconciliation, but Zoe remained guarded. As the wine flowed, Olivia's composure began to crack. Her pleas turned to accusations, her voice rising with each unanswered question. Just as the argument was reaching a fever pitch, the doorbell rang. Olivia froze, wine glass halfway to her lips. Zoe's face drained of color. They both knew who it was before Olivia yanked open the front door to reveal Liam, looking confused and concerned. What happened next was a blur of shouting and recriminations. Olivia, fueled by alcohol and rage, lashed out at both Zoe and Liam. She accused them of carrying on an affair behind her back, of making a fool of her in her own home. Zoe tried to calm her down, insisting that she'd told Liam not to come, but Olivia was beyond reason. In her anger, Olivia grabbed a heavy crystal vase from the sideboard and hurled it at the wall, narrowly missing Liam's head. The crash of shattering glass seemed to shock everyone into momentary silence. Taking advantage of the lull, Zoe urged Liam to leave, promising to call him later. But as Liam turned to go, Olivia blocked his path. In a voice eerily calm, she told him that if he walked out that door, she would destroy him. She threatened to report him for statutory rape, to ruin his chances of ever attending college. Liam, panicked and out of his depth, looked to Zoe for help. What happened next would be debated in court for months to come. Zoe, seeing the wild look in her wife's eyes, feared for Liam's safety. She grabbed Olivia's arm, trying to pull her away from the door. Olivia reacted instinctively, shoving Zoe hard. Zoe stumbled backwards, her head connecting with the sharp corner of the marble kitchen island, with a sickening crack. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, Zoe crumpled to the floor, a pool of blood quickly spreading beneath her head. Liam cried out in horror, dropping to his knees beside her. Olivia stood frozen, unable to comprehend what had just happened. It was Liam who called 911, his voice shaking as he described the scene to the dispatcher. Olivia, snapping out of her shock, fled to the backyard. When the police arrived minutes later, they found her sitting by the edge of the pool, staring blankly at her reflection in the water. Zoe was pronounced dead at the scene, the official cause of death listed as blunt force trauma to the head. Olivia was taken into custody, still in a state of shock. Liam, covered in Zoe's blood, gave his statement to the police between bouts of hysterical crying. As news of the tragedy spread through Oakwood Estates, neighbors gathered on the street, watching in disbelief as the body bag was wheeled out to the coroner's van. The perfect couple, the dream home, the bright young man with a promising future, all lay in ruins, shattered by a moment of uncontrolled rage and jealousy. Detective Alana Ramirez arrived at 42 Sycamore Lane just after midnight, the flashing lights of police cruisers casting an eerie glow over the manicured lawn. As she ducked under the crime scene tape, she steeled herself for what lay ahead. 20 years on the force hadn't dulled her sensitivity to scenes like this. The house was a whirlwind of activity. Forensic techs dusted for fingerprints and collected blood samples. Uniformed officers canvassed the neighbors, piecing together a timeline of events. In the kitchen, outlined in stark white chalk, was the spot where Zoe Blackwell had drawn her last breath. Ramirez's first order of business was interviewing Liam Russo. The young man sat huddled in the back of an ambulance, a shock blanket draped over his shoulders. His statement was fragmented, punctuated by sobs, but it painted a clear picture of a relationship gone terribly wrong. Next, Ramirez turned her attention to Olivia Hartley. The woman sat handcuffed in the back of a police car, her once immaculate appearance now disheveled. Her eyes were vacant, her responses monosyllabic. It was clear she was in no state for a formal interview. Ramirez instructed the officers to transport her to the station for processing. As the night wore on, a clearer picture began to emerge. Neighbors reported hearing shouting coming from the house earlier in the evening. One mentioned seeing Liam's car parked down the street several times a week, always late at night. Another recalled a heated argument between Olivia and Zoe in their front yard the previous week. The physical evidence told its own story. Wine glasses and a half-eaten meal on the dining room table. A shattered vase and dents in the drywall. Most damning of all, Olivia's fingerprints on the kitchen island where Zoe had struck her head. By dawn, Ramirez had enough to file preliminary charges. Olivia Hartley would be booked for second-degree murder. Liam Russo was released but told not to leave town, as further questioning would be necessary. As Ramirez left the scene, she couldn't shake a feeling of sadness. 3 lives irrevocably changed in the space of a few hours. A community's sense of safety shattered, and at the heart of it all, a cautionary tale of love, jealousy, and the dangerous games people play with each other's hearts. In the days following Zoe Blackwell's death, Detective Ramirez and her team worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to that fateful night. They combed through cell phone records, interviewed friends and colleagues, and dug deep into the couple's financial history. What emerged was a complex web of deceit and manipulation. Text messages revealed that both Olivia and Zoe had been carrying on separate emotional affairs with Liam, each believing they were the only one. Liam's phone contained hundreds of messages from both women, ranging from flirtatious banter to explicit photos. Financial records showed large withdrawals from Olivia's personal account, coinciding with expensive gifts given to Liam. Zoe, it seemed, had been planning to leave Olivia. She had recently opened a separate bank account and had been researching apartments in a nearby city. Interviews with friends and family painted a picture of a marriage that had been unraveling for months. Olivia's co-workers described her as increasingly distracted and prone to mood swings. Zoe's best friend revealed that Zoe had confided in her about falling in love with Liam and wanting to start a new life with him. Liam, for his part, was revealed to be less innocent than he initially appeared. Further investigation uncovered a pattern of him insinuating himself into the lives of wealthy older women, exchanging companionship for financial gain. While he claimed to have genuine feelings for both Olivia and Zoe, his actions suggested a more calculated approach. The case took an unexpected turn when forensic analysis of Zoe's computer revealed a draft email to a divorce attorney. In it, she expressed fear for her safety, citing Olivia's increasingly erratic behavior and verbal threats. This raised the possibility that Olivia's actions on the night of Zoe's death were premeditated, rather than a heat-of-the-moment accident. As the investigation progressed, public opinion in Oakwood Estates began to shift. Initial sympathy for Olivia as a wronged wife gave way to shock at the extent of her deception. Liam, once viewed as a naive victim, was now seen as a cunning manipulator who had played both women for his own gain. The email about Olivia's threats could be crucial in proving intent. As the date for the preliminary hearing approached, Ramirez felt confident in the strength of the prosecution's case, but she knew from experience that in matters of the heart, the truth was often more complicated than it appeared. The trial would not only determine Olivia's fate, but would also force a community to confront uncomfortable truths about the secrets that can lurk behind closed doors. The trial of Olivia Hartley began on a crisp spring morning, nearly 6 months after Zoe Blackwell's death. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters and curious onlookers, all eager to catch a glimpse of the woman at the center of the scandal that had rocked Oakwood Estates. Inside, the courtroom was a study in contrasts. Olivia, once the picture of polished professionalism, appeared gaunt and disheveled in her prison jumpsuit. Her eyes, once sharp and confident, now darted nervously around the room. On the other side sat Zoe's family, her parents, sister, and best friend, their faces etched with grief and anger. The prosecution, led by the formidable district attorney Elena Vasquez, painted a damning picture of Olivia as a manipulative, jealous woman who had lashed out in a drunken rage when she realized she was losing control. They emphasized the physical evidence, the wine bottles, the shattered vase, Olivia's fingerprints on the kitchen island, and Zoe's email expressing fear for her safety. Liam Russo, testifying under immunity, proved to be a compelling witness. He described in detail the escalating tensions between Olivia and Zoe, and recounted Olivia's threats on the night of Zoe's death. Under cross-examination, he admitted to his own role in manipulating both women, his voice breaking as he expressed remorse for his actions. The defense team, led by high-profile attorney Jacob Stern, argued that Zoe's death was a tragic accident. They portrayed Olivia as a woman desperate to save her marriage, pushed to the breaking point by her wife's infidelity. They questioned Liam's credibility, suggesting he was framing Olivia to protect himself. The jury deliberated for 4 days before reaching a verdict. In a hushed courtroom, with cameras broadcasting the moment to millions of viewers, the foreman stood to deliver their decision. Olivia Hartley was found guilty of second-degree murder. As the verdict was read, a collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Olivia collapsed into her chair, her composure finally shattering as the reality of her situation sank in. Zoe's family embraced, tears of relief and lingering sorrow streaming down their faces. At the sentencing hearing 2 weeks later, Olivia was given 25 years to life in prison. She addressed the court, expressing deep remorse for her actions and apologizing to Zoe's family. Whether her words were sincere or a last attempt at leniency, only Olivia truly knew. Liam Russo, though not charged in Zoe's death, did not escape unscathed. His reputation in tatters, he left Oakwood Estates to start a new life, carrying the weight of his role in the tragedy.